Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Balls Sports Show. Brought to you in part by True Love's Pizza and Grits at 1144 Riverside Drive. A discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan James, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Belew.
Thank you, Bill Jones, and welcome to the All the Ball Sports Show for this Tuesday, the 23rd day of January, and we've got a full house, and we're loving it because we've got a couple of guys that I really like to have on, three that are questionable, but I'm kidding. You guys, I'm kidding. Dilly. Just hang on. We're fine. Eric Belew is here. Eric is probably one of the better players that I have seen for Columbia Central High School while sitting in the press box during my years
That's
up there.
Nice of you to say.
And then Coach Jason Hoath, who coached Eric Belew for the 2010 championship, and his dad, Vance Belew, Eric's dad, not Jason's, but Eric's dad, Vance Belew, who was the coach of the 2010 team. But the first thing I've got to do at the top of the show, Coach James Dickinson wanted us to talk about spring break. So, Eric, we're going to talk about spring break. Are you for it or against it?
I guess I'm for it. I
Okay.
guess we'll figure out what that
Jason,
means.
how about you? You're for, yeah, spring break.
Anytime I have a chance to get a break from school,
Check your microphone, make sure it's not turned. There we go. There we go. That's good.
I'm for spring break.
Coach, what about you?
Yes, I'm in favor of breaks in general.
What about,
Winter
what about
breaks,
you, Jim?
no breaks. all
Totally
breaks.
opposed because I don't get a spring break.
Dilly.
Yes.
You seen the last one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
Sorry. So now, James Dickinson, Coach, we've taken care of your spring break. Whole panel is for it, so we're good with spring break. Got both you guys in here. Eric, really wanted to talk to you tonight because you are not only a standout at Columbia Central High School, state winner, of course, the championship in 2010. But you went on, had a great career at UNA. You played at Tech, and now you're coaching, living the dream, man.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's ever since I was little, a whole lot of people, especially when they're 23, they have no idea what they want to do. But fortunately for me, I've known what I was doing since I was 5, and I've always, maybe some motives have changed for why. A big thing when I was young, I wanted to chase the notoriety and the fame of being an incredible football coach. But I mean, fortunately, with the coaches that I had, and being in my dad's household and being coached by Coach Hoath, I mean, now you realize it's a service industry, and that's my dream now, which it's unreal how much it's changed. What I wanted to do hasn't changed, but my motives behind it have changed so much, since being 14, 15 years old. So definitely living the dream is exactly right.
Jason, how hard was this guy to coach?
I was actually one of the easier kids to coach. I'd say, and I'll say it's the same thing you said, as far as watching players play, for Columbia and just high school in general. When Eric played free safety for us, we had a coach on the field. I've told we had like 30 coverages in 2010.
38.
Was it 38 coverage? 30-something coverages, so, And, he knew them all like the back of his hand. We kind of just set it up to where, hey, if we see this formation, we kind of want to be running this coverage. So everything we did was disguised. So we're in the middle of a game, and Coach Stone's like, well, what coverage am I? I'm like, I'm trying to figure it out myself. Eric's called something, and, he always had us set up right, though. And, it was great having him on the field because he made sure everybody's lined up, made all the checks. And, if you've ever coached secondary in the football, that's not an easy task. And we haven't really been able to be as effective in the secondary since Eric has left. I mean, we have taught the same things and gone over the same things, but having somebody back there that can communicate and relay all that information, that's not easy because the high schoolers, it's hard to get them to break out of their shell. And Eric did a great job of that. So,
but this was
awesome.
a special group, and I've said this over and over again. I don't want people to get tired of hearing me say this. This was a special group of young men during that time.
Oh yeah,
that were just incredible. I mean, you got one playing in a Super Bowl.
Yep.
Sunday week, again.
Yeah, we have one playing in the Super Bowl. Some that are coaching now. some that are correctional officers, some that are flying helicopters. I mean, they're all over the place and what they're doing, and it was a special group of kids.
So you told me Sunday night that John Harvey is now flying choppers.
Yes, sure is. Yep.
Cool.
He's got those. So we had him and 4 guys go through either West Point or the Naval Academy, and Ethan Myers is going to graduate vet school here in a few months. So man, just all kind of accomplishments. Will, one of the guys who, of course, graduated at West Point, and and I know, and we're leaving a dozen kids out off of that time period that just went on to achieve so many things, and will accomplish a whole lot more down the road. But I'm sitting here looking at these 2 guys, thinking, both of them were all-state high school players. Yeah, that's quite an accomplishment. For myself, I was just glad to make the all-team team, much less, the all-state team. And I remember Jason as a quarterback and facing him being at Spring Hill at that time, and seems like just yesterday, and it's been more than a few years now. But he was an outstanding quarterback.
When was that? When did you
and
graduate?
middle linebacker too.
I did play some middle linebacker. I graduated in 2003, so my last year playing Columbia was 2002, which was the second year that the Columbia Spring Hill rivalry had regained. We lost by a point. And my brother-in-laws, I've said this before, my brother-in-laws both played for Central. And they still remind me of how they beat me by a point, all the time. So I'll live with that for the rest of my life. That's right. Hey, but now I'm on the good side, and now I'm getting to enjoy those victories on those rivalry games. So,
well, and we're glad he's on the good side too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So how did you feel, Coach, when you noticed or found out that he was going to be head coach of Columbia Central?
Oh, I was excited. There's no doubt. Jason brings a whole lot to our school and our program. He was there as an assistant, so it was easy to evaluate that. And one thing that really played in Jason's favor, in my mind, was his youthfulness, because I knew he was in for a hard situation. We were tearing down a locker room, and our kids did a great job, and he did as well. They drug their equipment around all year long to school and to practice and back home, and then start all over the next day. They had to move things in the weight room quite often. Went through last summer's workouts without any electricity in the weight room before it came down, and he just did a phenomenal job of handling all that, and then had success on the field this year. So we're extremely excited to have Jason.
Meant to ask you, did Jason ever find that brick that you were looking for that you backed your pickup truck into?
Well,
over at the old locker room?
No, I don't think so. I never.
I don't know if I know the story.
Actually, to be accurate on the story, I didn't back into it. I drove straight into it. And Eric might remember my old pickup had a little pushed-in bumper, and that's where that came from.
Wasn't that the little red pickup?
No, this is a little green one. This was been quite a while.
Must have been a while back.
Yeah, it was. So my foot kind of slipped off the brake, and
that's his story, and he's sticking
big old
to it.
booze. That's right. And I hit the gas pedal and bam, And of course, I did a cuckoo marlin and just backed that thing up, fixed my hair, and got on out like nothing happened.
Well,
y'all won't remember
that part wasn't hard,
Marlin.
though, was it?
Yeah, that's right. Cuckoo Marlin, one year when he was, of course, racing at Daytona 500, he has a wreck right at the beginning of the race. Somebody took him out, and he climbs out of his car and pulls his pocket out of his comb out of his pocket and combs his hair and just stands there and waits on the field.
Well, that's because he knew. That's because he knew the camera was going to be on him.
Yeah, I guess so. He was prepared.
That's funny.
The calmness of that situation.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that was like 1976.
That's back when Rubbin was
12
racing.
years old, and that made an impression on me about staying calm. And also about, I would watch the traffic a little bit more than what he did.
One year down there, of course, didn't have a major sponsor, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He was leading. He had the race won.
Mm.
They black flagged him and brought him in.
Oh my goodness.
And the reason being was they wasn't going to have somebody win the race that didn't have a major sponsor.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Now, Eric, you stepped away from football for the reason that probably a lot of people should step away.
Right.
You were more concerned about your health as far as concussions go.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a little background on that.
Yeah. Got my first actual diagnosed concussion. I say my sophomore year, which was, I think that was my first one, right?
I think so.
Yeah. It's hard to remember now. But,
That's
that's
part of the protocol.
Maybe I shouldn't ask.
Anyways, what were we talking about? Now, this happened in the semifinals right before the state championship game in 2009. Yep. And I thought I wasn't even going to get to play, but I ended up passing protocol on Friday, and I was able to play through a dire situation, which we ended. I think you said the other day that we were down, we were losing by like 14, and my dad considered that a dire situation, so I got to play. So
Caught it pass too, didn't you?
yeah, I did. Yeah. But and then I got a couple more in high school, and I didn't really notice any symptoms until probably after my after my sophomore year of college. High school's physical, but college it's a whole different ballgame. And a whole lot of it was my role in special teams. I played a whole lot of special teams, and that's a whole lot of full speed. I mean, like billy goats going head on. And I started experiencing symptoms after my sophomore year. I started getting a little nausea. I rode some roller coasters, and I was nauseous for, 2 or 3 days.
That's not good.
Oh, I know. And I knew that something was wrong because I had never experienced nausea. I mean, I could ride curvy roads, do all that stuff, and it never bothered me. Then the last concussion, which was halfway through my senior year at UNA, I noticed the nausea was lasting longer. We had some fluid coming out of it ended up not being blood, but it was drainage coming out from fluid from my brain that wasn't supposed to happen. But fortunately, there ended up being no brain damage, which was a whole lot better than most guys in that situation. Right. But the nausea had lasted, 2 or 3 weeks. I couldn't eat a whole lot, and I knew that this was something that I need to get taken care of. So
something wasn't right.
Right, and I went to the neurologist, and he kind of told me very bluntly, I think his exact words were, it would be psychotic to go back and play.
Whoa.
He was very adamant because it's something that he's seen before, and he said, I have no idea who you are, but I've seen what happens with brain trauma. He had worked with a fireman that had experienced a whole lot of falls, and the guy, couldn't function properly. He had a family. And being in a neurologist's office, and then people that are 2 rooms beside you are being treated for Alzheimer's and traumatic brain injuries, and I didn't want to push that. I saw that, and that was enough for me. I love football. I'm going to be in football for the rest of my life, but it ain't worth your life, So it was a tough decision.
It's something also that you can pass down to a lot of your players.
Right.
And you'll be able to see when they have a problem.
Right, exactly. And I think, that's huge for me, just, teaching proper technique and stuff like that. Some of it's unavoidable, but football's a physical game and it hasn't changed. And I don't think decreasing the physicality of the game is the answer. I think increasing the knowledge of how to play the game the right way is the answer. I don't think we should take things away from the game. Special teams is one of the, biggest contributors to my head injuries, but I think a lot of that was, poor technique on my end. And I'm a coach now, and I can admit to that. I just think the quality of coaching and knowledge of concussions and brain injuries should be increased, and we shouldn't be taken away from the game at all, though. Because when I was interviewed by a news channel, a local news channel when I was in Alabama, and they were very adamant about getting me to say negative things about the game of football, and I wasn't going to do that. They cut off a whole lot of things that I said during the interview, which I was pretty upset about, and I contacted them about that. So, I mean, when it comes to concussions, usually people try to dumb down the game, but that's not the answer at all.
And the perfect example of a head injury is watch the other night when Gronkowski got hit. Mm-hmm. When he got up, he probably would have said the same thing that one of our players said one night, "I'm Batman."
Yeah.
I mean, because he could not almost walk off the field.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Under his own power.
Right.
And it was a helmet-to-helmet hit.
That's right.
Now, you'd think that they make these helmets to where that's not going to happen. Well, what happens, like they say in a car wreck, and what happened to a lot of NASCAR drivers is that the head stops, but the brain doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because it just sloshes around in there because it's just going to do what the brain's going to do.
Right.
And that's what causes the head injuries. Well,
Yeah,
you were smart to get out when you did.
Well,
Yeah.
Gronk did say, "Wow."
That's right.
But Eric's right, though. You know, it goes back to coaches changing the way they teach things. I mean, in the last 10 years, we've changed the way we teach tackling. I mean, it's one of those things you kind of have to adjust for the safety of the players. Like you said, concussions are going to be inevitable. They're going to happen. But if you can do, you know, things in practice to prevent it, I mean, shoot, a lot of our tackling drills we did last year were on dummies or guys holding dummies. And it's hard to simulate a real live tackle without going head on with somebody. But you know, we've invested in a lot of those tackle wheels that you see colleges and pros use, and the Seahawk method of tackling. So there's a lot of ways that the game is making it safer. I don't want to say necessarily changing, but just trying to make it safer for players.
Is making it safer teaching these kids to arm tackle the way that they are, and they're not going full body into it? Because you're seeing a lot more of that. You're seeing where they're trying to grab the guy with the arm and not get in there and just, you know, take him down.
And I think a lot of it is the position you play. You know, when we're teaching linebackers, we don't use the tackle roll as much just because in the game situation, there's still going to be those good old-fashioned angle tackles that they're going to encounter more with your secondary players that are more the guys that have more of a full head of steam going. Their tackle style is going to change a little bit just because they have more momentum running with at somebody. So we try to do different drills with different position types to try to, you know, to make it safer, but also not to lose any, because you never want to see arm tackles or missed tackles.
Right.
So it's just a process.
But the thing is, you're going to see the arm tackles in college and pros. I mean, some of the pros just blow it. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, you have the tackle, but
Case in point, Saints game against Minnesota.
Exactly. Well, no, he just laid down. I mean, he just, you know.
Well, you can see he looked up, he saw the guy catch the ball, and he took his head, and he stepped to his left.
I think the funniest quote I saw on Facebook was, "Whoever has taught this man over his entire career how to tackle should be fired."
Tarred and feathered first.
Thank you.
And the hardest thing with tackling is all just the angles.
Yeah.
I mean, arm tackle. If you see a missed arm tackle, it probably breaks down to they took a bad angle. You know, so but it's one of those things. It's tough as a coach, and I'm sure you're realizing. And tackling is a lot harder than what it might sound like.
I'm going to ask.
You also see a lot of this just throwing a shoulder at somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it's. You know, the days of wrapping them up seems to have gone out the window. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to ask this question. I'm going to throw it out there. So don't kill the messenger when I ask this, because somebody's going to say, "Why didn't you ask them this question?" And I'm going to say, "Well, I did because you weren't paying attention." What are the chances that Eric Belew comes back to be on your staff and then we put the band back together as co-athletic director, Vance Belew, head coach Jason Hoath, and coordinator Eric Belew?
Well, hopefully the chances are good. I'm waiting for a position to open up.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, obviously Columbia made me and is a huge part of my life. But best advice I ever got from my dad before I started coaching, you know, was worry about the now. And I'm actually enrolled at UT Martin. I'm still taking college courses for my certification. So I mean, that's That's really all I've even thought about right now. I can't even.
Okay.
I can't even think past.
Well, see, there are
yesterday
those
right
of
now.
us who are thinking past that.
Oh, I know.
I love the opportunity to get Eric back
yeah.
in Columbia. I mean, not only a great ball player, but I mean, you can tell when you see a guy that's going to be a really successful coach, and I definitely see that in Eric. So, if Columbia, if we're fortunate enough to get him, it'd be really good.
And I know you're still in contact with Shaq all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you guys text back and forth. And anything since the other night?
Well, I think last time I talked to him was probably 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
When he beat the Titans, actually. I had made I mean, I'm a big Titans fan, I mean, I'll always choose Shaq over, or I'll always choose one of my friends over anything sports related.
Well, it's basically what we do here.
Oh,
too.
yeah, definitely. And I had posted something on social media saying tighten up and all this stuff, and I was real fired up. And all how that stuff stays on your profile or whatever for 24 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
All he texted back was, he replied to it 5 minutes after the game. It said, LOL. And all I said was, I think I just put GJ, good job.
Oh, that's funny.
But we've always both been really, really competitive with each other. And one of my favorite stories about me and him was just how competitive we both were. We were having an argument. This was before his senior year, before my junior year. We were having an argument about who was the better baseball player. Neither one of us played baseball anymore. We both stopped in middle school. But we were arguing who could hit more home runs. We joined a spring baseball league just to see who could hit more home runs. I mean, we were showing up to practice every day and all that stuff, and everybody thought we were coming out to rebirth baseball. Like, no, it was a 4-month bet. I mean,
Well,
that's how competitive.
Who won the bet?
All right, well, this is what happened. I hit more home runs than he did.
Okay.
But that was the spring before his senior year. Big recruiting time. I think I hit 3 and he hit 2, and I played 10 games. I think he played 1 game. So I won. We can put that on the record, but the odds may have been slanted a little bit. Just a little.
Just a little.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I remember them playing on travel ball, Shaq and Eric, and I think Trey D, maybe they play on some of them. But,
Yeah, the Diamond Stars.
Darius Goff, and I can still remember Shaq's mom sitting
Oh,
in the
my goodness.
That's the thing I remember. She'd sit in the bleachers and just holler at the top of her voice, full energy, totally into it. Not for Shaq, just Shaq. Every single kid on the team.
Right.
She was
Right.
first name and all behind them, and just so full of energy. It was so much fun just to sit there and watch her.
Yeah, she was. It was awesome. Good pitching. That's what she'd scream every pitch.
Yeah.
If you threw a strike, you'd hear good pitching, good pitching. It was awesome.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. True Love's Pizza and Grits is our sponsor. 1144 Riverside Drive, 388-7770. Thanks to Kathy and Glenn True Love for sponsoring our show. And Wednesday through Sunday nights, go out to True Love's. They're open at 11 o'clock in the morning. Close about what, Eddie? 9? Something like that?
9 usually.
9-ish?
There's a couple of, let's see, Sunday night they close a little earlier, I think. But,
All right. But check them out. Get the old pizza maker.
yes.
It's got everything on it.
Everything on it. It's the original pizza that Pizza Maker used to make, and the Supreme Pizza, and
They got the recipe.
they got the recipe, and it is outstanding. Of course, all their pizzas are outstanding.
Try the chicken and grits. And it's
Shrimp
not
and grits.
Shrimp and grits. It's not the
And-
same. It's not your grandmama's grits.
No, it's a
different-
cheesy grits.
It's a cheesy grit. It's a good grit. So make sure you check them out.
And-
True Love's Pizza and Grits, 1144.
And the
Riverside
wings are
Drive.
outstanding
Yes,
too.
they are. Yes, they are. Need to do that one night. Get wings out here.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Well, I am too. I'll just get Glenn to cook them. I'll go out there and get them because they're not open on Tuesdays. We won't tell you how it's made,
No, can't do that.
but we have it after the show. So just keep that in mind. Mid-State Classic is coming up at Ridley Park in That will be in April, Tuesday, April 10th, 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. Columbia State and Vol State will play at 1 o'clock, and that's going to be followed at 6 o'clock by the Lady Vols. Glad they're calling them Lady Vols again.
Yes, me too.
Thank God. Lady Vols and Memphis Lady Tigers. That'll be the Mid-State Classic, Ridley Park. Tickets go on sale Monday, February 5th at 8 a.m. in the morning, so make sure you get your tickets early. Let's talk about the new school, Vance. They dedicated the new school on Sunday, had an open house from 2 to 4. Columbia Central High School now is something that everybody in this county, whether or not you wanted to vote for it, whether or not you wanted to build it, whether or not you want to put it where it is, should be extremely proud of.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fabulous facility, very well done. I think everybody in the community that can get out there and see the final phase now that it's been open, which includes the 2 new gyms and the entryway for that, band room, auditorium, all those things.
Is that not incredible?
Yeah, it is. And,
wow.
Yep, and trophy case there is awfully nice, and empty room there right now, the Hall of Fame, working on that. That's going to open up this fall. And we'll have some inductions into the new Columbia Central Sports Hall of Fame.
We did not make it, Eddie.
Well, I think about the Hall of Fame room is they took the old parts of the old gym floor and it's
Yeah,
the flooring
they did.
in the Hall of Fame. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, isn't that
Something
way
from the old
cool?
school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Dang,
Very
we
nice.
didn't make
we
it.
did not make it. I was told we didn't make it.
So people
Wasn't even on the selection.
people to get in to see that can come to a basketball game here,
Yes.
or
Is
Nah,
that
I'm
going to
sorry,
be?
Chip,
Is
you
that
can't
going
be
to be
on there
considered?
either.
Is that going to be considered the new entrance to the school for?
it's the event entrance.
entrance. Okay.
So basketball, volleyball come fall, the people enter that way.
Auditorium.
Wrestling in the winter. I know I left something out there. There's another sport.
They're going to have winter wrestling too.
going out. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what they have it now. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm
in
sorry.
fact,
It's
wrestling's
new,
finishing up. Going into the postseason this week, the region starts Friday
okay.
for wrestling,
Okay.
which will be in Smyrna. But we still got about a fourth of the basketball season left,
Yeah.
so there's still opportunities for people to come out and see the new facility and take in a basketball game.
Yeah, I've got the PA, the one for Lawrence County on the 2nd of February, so I'll be out there for that.
Excellent.
So if you get a chance, don't ask for a personal tour because Roger won't give you one. But I mean, just ask somebody to let you see the school. It is absolutely gorgeous.
Absolutely.
It's something to be proud of.
It is. It
And I
certainly
love the
is.
way that they did the atrium over there at the auditorium band room to look like the inside of the old gym.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So that's
Come
certainly
on in, Ty.
a connection to the past there.
Yeah, there is. Oh, look at Mr. Predator here.
Yeah, I was going to the game tonight, but I got a 7:30 7-year-old basketball practice at CA, so I'm a coach now, Coach.
Oh, are you?
Saturday. We lost our first game 17-15 Saturday, but that's a lot of points for 7, 8-year-olds. So
Yes.
Coach
Ty.
Coach Cobb.
that's kind of scary, isn't it?
No, it's very scary. Coach Belew, I can believe. Coach Hoath, I can believe.
I like
Coach
them both.
Belew and AD Belew, I can believe. Coach Cobb,
Maybe the 3 of them will rub off on me tonight.
Well, how much basketball do these 3 know?
Well, they know how to win championships. Let's say. That's all. A winner's a winner.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning of the show, we got 2010 championship in these 3 right here.
That's
in
right.
football, not basketball.
There might be some slight differences there.
But to give the devil his due, you were outstanding in Giles County in basketball in high school,
Did
correct?
play, yep.
There you
Sure
go.
did.
So he does have a little experience, Coach.
Actually, it's kind of funny. You bring that up. I was in Marshall County today with city manager, mayor, and another friend, and spoke a few minutes at the Kiwanis Club over there. And one of my best memories of Marshall County is when I was a junior in 1996. We were playing Lewisburg, Marshall County High School, in the first round of the district tournament. And winner went on, loser goes home. Well, Marshall County was picked to win the whole district. Marcus Hayslip, who went on to play for the University of Tennessee, I was guarding. Well, we played them at Lewis County. That's where the district tournament was. But we beat them. We upset them. And Richland was the smallest school in AA with 9 students too many. But we had a competitive year and won like 17 games and lost 14, but went on to the sub-state and got put out. But it was up at Portland, but it was kind of neat. I said, I just want to bring back some memories from 22 years ago when we put Marshall County out. I thought I was going to have to get a police escort back. They hadn't forgotten.
All right, your thoughts on the new head coach for the Titans?
I don't know nothing about him other than he played for the Patriots, and that's a winning organization. And
But do you notice a pattern here that all the newer coaches coming up have played for
Alabama?
Belichick? No, they've either played for Belichick or they played for Saban.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Saban is Alabama now.
So basically, these guys are going to end up playing themselves at some point.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many, right? There's only so many plays that you can run or so many plays you can devise.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that's a big part about the game in general. My head coach, Coach Sharp, I mean, this is just across all borders. My head coach, Coach Sharp, learned under Herschel Moore, who was a pioneer of wing T in Tennessee football. I mean, if you're a coach in Tennessee football, you know that name. And my dad used Herschel Moore's system for, 20-plus years. And I know all kinds of other people that I meet that run wing T and stuff like that. They learned under Herschel Moore. And when you're seeing that at the highest level of football, Belichick and Saban's system, Saban learned under Belichick, got connected through Belichick's dad, and then now all these other coaches are filtering out. And it's almost like the coach's family tree that happens. And it's cool that you see that at every level. But, I mean, that's just a testament to say, I mean, I know I grew up a Bama fan, but that's just a testament towards Saban and, definitely a testament towards Bill Belichick. But there's guys like that at all levels all over the country. I mean, we can even say locally, Ned Rich, who's my first football coach ever before either one of these guys, and what he's done for Pop Warner and the coaches that learned under him, it's the same thing at a smaller level. But that's the testament, I think, that's so big as a coach. If you're making generations before you better, and that's what I love seeing about Belichick and Saban. I mean, it's incredible, and I think that's a big goal as a coach, which you should have. The game should be a little bit better when you get done with it. And all the guys that I've named, I mean, they're the epitome of that. And that's just such a huge testament for all those guys.
Well, Bill Belichick never gets excited during a press conference. He says, we're not
Moving on
worried.
to Jacksonville.
He says, we're not worried about the Eagles. Our Patriots have guns.
Yeah. You ain't kidding. With the sleeveless hoodie.
Really? Exactly.
Awesome. Yeah.
Exactly. But like Shaq told us last year, I wish you had been on the show with us when we had Shaq on, but when Shaq told us last year, he said there are 2 Belichicks. He says there's the Belichick you see in the press conference, then there's the Belichick that's in the locker room.
Right.
Locker room, team meetings, and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, you even saw when they won, he was going crazy and got super excited. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like as soon as the cameras got on him, he stopped. Like he cut it off.
I thought that he and Brady were going to lip lock. I'm not kidding you. I thought that was what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Brady kissed him on the neck. I'm not real sure. I may have seen that. It may have been a dream.
That's gonna be a tabloid by tomorrow, probably.
He didn't care too much for the conference trophy.
No, as soon as they handed it to him, he handed it off to somebody.
I guess he's got 7 of them or 8 of them now. But.
And they all look alike.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, I need to ask you if you bring the mic over. Didn't get a chance to talk to you because you hadn't been on since last month, but we've had the Alabama win for the national championship again. Your take on that game?
Well, I mean, the comeback obviously was tremendous, even if you're for or against Alabama. I mean, and reflective of what we've talked about, it brought up thoughts of the Super Bowl last year where the Patriots came back in pretty much the same fashion. Definitely was rooting for Jackson Harris, though.
Sure.
One of our own. And while I'm on that, Coach Chris Binkley brought up a good point this week when I was talking with him. We got Shaq in the Super Bowl again, Jackson Harris in the championship game, which y'all probably had this conversation, and then Dre Hall set the Division II receiving records for the whole nation in Division II. So that's a pretty awesome year of accomplishments there.
And also at UNA this year, the Matt Markham to Dre Hall hookup
for a touchdown.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yep.
That's a big
really
testament to Markham too. That's such a huge accomplishment from, having a transfer and at the quarterback position, a walk-on transfer, and it wasn't just because of injuries he outplayed the guys that were in front of him and the guys that had an opportunity to play. But I think that's just the tenacity that's built with the culture that's here, and I think the culture that was brought up, in this environment at Columbia, especially during those few couple of years, is why all those guys are like that. And then, like you're saying, we had 4 guys graduate from military academy schools. All that character that was developed here. It's what everybody's taken on, And it's just athletic accomplishments and military accomplishments. It's pretty incredible to see.
Well, let's go back to Alabama for just a second. When the coach decides to pull a quarterback the way he pulled Hurts, obviously whatever was happening on the right side of the field wasn't working for him in the first half, and he decides, let's go to the left, and he does that. It just seems to me like you're either in a panic mode or a desperation mode, or you're just doing something a little different.
Well, I think all of that's probably included in that. There was some desperation. They're down 13-0, and they haven't moved the ball consistently at all other than one drive. So they had to come up with something. Maybe not quite so much the panic, because I just have to believe it was things they saw that was more than what we saw, things that happened in practice and their evaluation of the quarterback situation there, I think that had to play a big part in them making it, and they had to have that in the back of their mind going in, I would think, in order to make such a crucial change at such a crucial time.
Well, there was no doubt about it. The quarterback that he put in second half was a much better passer on the deep ball than what Hurts was. And not taking anything away from Hurts. He won all those games before, But this kid comes in there, freshman. He starts slinging it all over the place and completing it all over the place, and the rest is history. Now that one touchdown pass he threw to where he was kind of under duress and he kind of just looked like he just threw it, and it worked out for him. The guy, they called it for a touchdown, but other than that, he was just outstanding.
What does that do to a defensive coordinator when suddenly we've got a left-handed quarterback in there, and we haven't planned on this left-handed quarterback being in there? And suddenly, does everything shift at that point, or does it cause the defense to be confused for Georgia at that point, or what's going on with them?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, you're a defensive guy.
Yeah, I think usually one of those general rules, if you don't know what to call the strength, you're in the middle of the field, call it to the left because most quarterbacks are right-handed, and that might switch. But as far as their schematics,
spin on the ball is the only difference.
Yeah, I don't believe left-handed quarterbacks. So,
So, had you been on the Georgia side, you'd call timeout and told him to get that guy out of there because you don't believe it. That's a pretty good answer.
Which that's the question for Alabama fans coming up is, who are we going to go with next year? It's do you go with Jalen Hurts, who has an outstanding record, or do you go with the freshman phenom who came in and won you a national championship?
Do you determine that through spring practice, and then they have to battle for the position?
I think so. I think if both of them are there, I think that's the best way to do it. Because I know from a coaching standpoint, either way he goes, he's going to have a lot of questions. Well, Jalen Hurts is going to start. Well, why? Because this guy won the national championship, or this guy won, but Jalen Hurts is going to be the backup. I mean, he's going to have to answer questions one way or the other. And then, of course, I know Alabama fans are just hoping that they both stay. Because if nowadays and kids lose their spot, they're quick to go somewhere else.
But unlike what we saw with Tennessee earlier in the season, Hurts was on the sidelines, pushing him on, giving him tips, talking to him, not backing off, not sitting down, not pouting. He was a team player.
Yeah, and I commend him for that because, I mean, the quarterback position,
especially on
Eric's
TV.
played some quarterback before. I played quarterback. I mean, it's a different position than any other position on in the game. And even when I had this with me this year, taking Drew Williams and making him a center, that's a lot mentally going on. So I commend Hurts for hanging in there and being a good team player. I mean, ultimately, if they don't make that switch, I don't think Alabama comes back and wins that game. So.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, and but the thing that stood out to me is, and why I think there was so much of that shown in practice, where they had a really good feel for what he would do, is how much obviously the coaches had to believe in him to make the switch, but the players and the things they said. There's no question that the players had seen him really, really perform well. Not just a good performance in practice above what is norm. I don't want to say phenomenal, but something along those lines. He obviously stood out way above what a normal freshman quarterback could be.
Had he not played a couple of 3 or 4 games during the season, just coming in
mop-up situations, and of course, as the games got tougher, Alabama's last 3 or 4 games were close, and he didn't appear much at all, if at all.
I remember him coming out of high school. They were talking about this kid might be the best quarterback ever to come to college.
Wow!
I mean, they were talking like just unbelievable.
But did you believe it because he was a left-hander?
No, there's got to be a downfall somewhere in the next 3 years.
and he's got a younger brother coming in.
I know he does. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you had Michael Vick and who else was a left-hander? Steve Young. There was a few good ones out there. There's a few. I guess he'll probably be the next one.
I'm going to ask this question. Chip, you chime in too because you're a UT fan. You other guys can put your fingers in yours and go la 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 when I ask this question because I'm going to ask this of Ty. New coach for the University of Tennessee. How you feel about him?
I think it's definitely a recovery from what we were going through with the coaching search. I never would have predicted that in a million years that we would Philip Former would. I mean, he definitely stepped in and took charge and calmed the waters and picked a coach, and he come right out of the University of Alabama. So, and actually has ties to Tennessee too, from what MTSU I think. So, he definitely knows the region and knows the Southern recruiting trail. So, I think
there you go, another Saban disciple.
I think it was a great. Well, I had an Alabama fan tell me last month, said everybody hates Alabama Ty till they need a coach.
Yeah.
Well, you might have told. I don't remember. Somebody told me that. But there is truth to that. But you know what? And Coach, I think I told you this, but man, my phone was blowing up being the big UT fan that I am. When all this was going on with Ohio State coach, and then we couldn't all that, and Alabama fans were blowing my phone up. But when Coach Pruitt gets hired, I hadn't got a text yet. So obviously, it was the right pick. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, Tennessee's got a history of getting Alabama men up here to coach.
I think we've had an athletic director too. So
Bill
Bill Battle.
Yeah. We had that. Coach Cutt.
Yeah.
From Alabama. And, I mean, Fulmer just went after the best available that fit the program. And I think that's what he's found. He's found somebody that fits the program. I hate to say it, but it's hard to please Tennessee fans, real hard, and it's going to be you know, Billy Bob from Maryville is kind of hard to get across. But anyway,
but when Nick Saban retires, how do you please Alabama fans?
oh, Dabo Sweeney,
I think it's set in stone. Yeah, I agree with that. Good call. Good call.
Mama will be calling Dabo home.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Dabo won't be able to turn it down because it'll be, what do you say, 15 million somewhere along there?
It's going to be a lot.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big paycheck.
It's going to be a big paycheck.
Yeah.
But I think Tennessee will do well.
If Dabo doesn't work out, we'll take Jason and Eric.
That's right. Hey, that was the joke. You know, when Tennessee was trying to hire a staff, I said, "Hey, we'll go for like 1 year, just 100,000. I'll take it. You know, take it or leave it, whether we win or lose."
I'll take league minimum for that one.
See, I want
give me
Eric
1
to
year.
get one of those millions of dollars contracts, so there'll be something left over for $1 million.
right. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to do analytics or do you want to?
Oh, I don't care as long as I get big money. I don't care what I do.
Just want 10%, right?
I'll do
Just
the
get
laundry.
10%.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I just want to be stadium announcer in Tuscaloosa.
Water boy.
Mama said.
Yeah.
That's funny. Hey, guys, we got something we need to talk about. I told Coach LaFawn that I would mention this. Lady Rugby. If you have not been to Lindsey Nelson Stadium to see the ladies play rugby, you have missed a treat. These ladies could teach your guys how to tackle.
So I'm saying I'm not going to go recruit this year.
I'm telling you. Jamboree is coming up on February 16th. It'll be from 5 until 8. There'll be several schools involved. Season opener versus Spring Hill is coming up on March 7th. That starts at 5:30. And the great thing is, like, it's only like 4 or 5 games during the year, and they only get to host like 2 or 3 at Lindsey Nelson, which for the stadium announcer and the clock operator makes it pretty easy. Let's see, CHS versus Warren County starts at 5:30. Do not have a date for that. And the final home game will be against Ravenwood sometime in April. And fundraising effort is now underway for 4 players who have been invited, they're seniors, to the Las Vegas to compete. Don't try this at home, kids. I'm a professional. For Tennessee at the national tournament, they have a GoFundMe page. Go to Facebook, look up Columbia Central High School Lady Lions rugby team, and it'll give you the GoFundMe page to send these 4 Lady Lions who are seniors to Las Vegas to play for Tennessee.
Wow.
Or the Tennessee team is playing out there. So that's a big deal for them to be invited for that. So keep that in mind. Also, the Dylan Rabior Memorial Golf Tournament is tentatively scheduled for April 28th at Stony Brook. Let's see, we made James Dickinson happy by talking about spring break. just checking my notes on things to talk about. So let's talk about Dylan's tournament. We do it every year. End of April, then 1st of May we hand out scholarships to 2 seniors.
Yep, senior football players who will put in an application and be interviewed, and we'll kind of have a little panel of TJ and Heather, Dylan's parents, and myself. Coach Hoath will be involved, and a couple of others. And new to it this time, 2 of Dylan's teammates, Eric Belew and Jonathan Essep, are going to participate in those interviews and help with the selection of the winners. But it's a great, fun day to go out on April the 28th at Stony Brook and, have some fun playing competitive golf while enjoying being a part of a great cause. And last year I think we had 31 teams, which was a full field. So we'll be getting out flyers that people can sign up on very soon, and we like to encourage people to get those in early so we can make sure we got a spot for them that day.
How many teams can we get in with the number of carts that we have, that if you want to participate and you have your own cart, you can still do so?
Yeah, if somebody got in that situation and
Right.
had their own cart, we probably could go up to 36 if we had to.
Okay.
But we are the number of carts we have and the ones that we know of that have their own carts puts that number at about 30, 31 teams.
Okay.
So anybody new that had their own carts, that would open up another spot.
So if you'd like to be a whole sponsor, they're $100.
Yes.
We invite you to contact either one of us or Eddie or anybody associated with the tournament, and we'll get you a whole sponsorship. And we're going to have mulligan packages. We don't know exactly what we're going to do with that yet, but that's going to be in there.
Yep, those will be offered for $10. A couple other little.
Are we going to go
events
with
going on.
Heather's math, or we're going to go with the regular math?
We're yet to decide that, I guess.
Yeah, I was giving her a hard time about that the other night.
Absolutely. Got to.
It's fun. We do have a good time out there. It's a good time on Saturday. It's a whole lot of pressure for a whole lot of minutes of pressure for a whole lot of hours of fun. Basically for us.
Absolutely.
So it's a good time. It's a good time. Eric, what are you coaching at Lewis County High School?
Well, right now I'm receivers, safeties, and special teams coordinator. So that's been being a coordinator your first full year as a teacher and coach was a lot of responsibility. But what I've learned from now since this past July it's unreal. I mean, Bobby Sharp has been there for so long, and he was inducted to the Hall of Fame this year, who's our head coach, and I've just trying to been a sponge being around him. I mean, fortunately I was able to grow up in a coach's household. You think you know everything, you think you've known all there is to know, and you haven't even scratched the surface, and that's something that Coach Sharp showed me. And first thing he told me in my interview, he said, talking about being young and wanting to learn, but he's been coaching for 38 years now, and he said he still learns just as much every year as he did his first year coaching. And I think that's just a big testament to, who he is. So, and it's been big for me.
Can you recall his record?
Winning.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that. I mean, he's got lots of championships for that division.
Oh yeah, it's something like 20 plus years consecutive in the playoffs, and I mean, maybe there's a few, but I can't name anybody else that I know. Maybe besides Merrill's Oak Corals, I think maybe he may be close to that, but I don't know of anybody in the state that since I've been alive that I've known that has anything close to that consecutive playoff appearances. It's unreal. But he's got a system that works and he sticks to it. And a big thing about being a coach that I've learned is being consistent. And he's been consistent to who he is for 38 years, and that's why he's where he is today.
I'm going to get on my little bandwagon. If you haven't been to a UNA football game,
That's right.
and you haven't been to that stadium down there, you haven't lived.
No, I'm telling you.
When they have the lion walk, my God, it's a true lion walk because they bring the two lions,
That's right.
physical lions, boys and girls, I'm telling you, in their cages down through on the lion walk. It is something it is really something to behold.
That's
and
right.
something to watch.
Definitely. And I mean, we only average, well, I guess I say only, but at the Division II level is a whole lot. But we average probably 13,000.
Yeah.
And I remember we were playing Florida Tech, and I don't like talking about, personal positive experiences. I don't want to, sound, self-absorbed or anything. But I scored a touchdown against Florida Tech that gave us the lead when it was our highest attendance of the year. And I've played in front of 83,000 against Wisconsin, 65,000 against Oregon. But when you have the ball in your hand and you hear a crowd in the environment like UNA has,
Yeah.
in that type of moment, I would have guessed that there was 400,000 people in the stadium.
Wow.
But I mean, that's just that's the presence that UNA has.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not. They had a rough year this year, but I think their attendance only dropped on average by like 1,200, which going from a national championship and you go 6-6 whatever they went, and their attendance doesn't drop. That just shows the type of atmosphere that UNA has and the culture that it brings. And they just made the jump to Division I football, which I think is also a huge impact on the type of culture they have, because Division I football believes in UNA's culture. And it was the best decision outside of my spiritual life that I think I ever made.
But it's amazing because the reach of that program to some places that you would think you would not go, into southern Georgia, into Florida,
Right.
and places like that for that small a school to have that big a program is amazing.
Oh, I agree. I mean, we had multiple players from California that played for our team, a whole lot of guys from Mississippi, a couple Florida kids, some kids from Kansas. But, I mean, it's when you think of Division II football, and one thing, I mean, they had the national championship there for however long. They just stopped doing that in 2014. But when you think Division II football, you think North Alabama. And that was an incredible experience to finish my last 2 years there. And, I mean, it's just like Columbia. UNA was a huge part of who I am today. I mean, I wouldn't be the same person if I didn't have my experience at UNA.
The night we were down there, they had every single high school band from across northern Alabama there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh, my goodness, it was. I mean, they do that every year. And
Yeah, but it was incredible.
yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I got to see that, I guess, 2 years ago when I was at a game.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. Their band is also one of the most renowned in college football as well, the Pride of Dixie. I had never got to see their band performance. But
Well,
it
you're
was,
a little busy at halftime.
Yeah, a little bit. But my next year when I came back to watch a game, I don't know anything about bands at all, but I was thoroughly impressed. They're a big part of why the culture is the way it is at UNA, definitely.
The fun part of that is watching, having been a band dad for 8 years, was watching the camaraderie between all of those bands on the field at the same time and how they supported each other.
Right.
Even though this little band from Western Alabama was supporting the one from Eastern Alabama, and they were having a great time out there.
Right, definitely.
Having a ball.
Yeah, I know, and that was another thing, too, about the experience. We had 2 half-practice fields on turf where we practiced every day, and on the full-length grass field right beside us, the band practiced at the same time that we were doing our practices every day. So, I mean, you're listening to band music the whole time during your practice, and it's just an atmosphere that you can't duplicate. Duplicate. Did I say that? Duplicate? That's just an atmosphere
It's
you
okay.
can't.
Dan had trouble.
Oh, yeah.
It's all right, man. Hey.
And he's a professional.
But, I mean, it really is. It's just – and you get – and also I think a big thing that needs to be known for people in this county, that you do get in-state tuition in Murray County if you go to UNA.
Really?
And that was a big indicator of why I chose to go there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was huge. And not a whole lot of people know that. And it's in the state of Alabama, it's voted every year as the best valued education in the state. Florence is constantly voted as one of the best college towns to live in the whole country. I mean, and I think a lot of kids in this county, I definitely need to know that, because I think it is I hate to say the word the cheapest, but you'll spend the least amount of money going to that college. But for the I mean, you get the ultimate college experience in
You're
Florence.
just far enough away from home
That's right.
to where mom and dad can come and see you on the weekend.
Exactly.
And you're just far enough away from home that they're not in your back pocket all the time.
That's right. I loved it. It was perfect. No, I mean, it was actually half the distance it was to drive to Cookville.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. I mean, my mom and dad loved coming down there. My dad grew up in Rogersville as a kid, and he knew the area. He actually showed me the area. I'd only been once maybe before that. So it was a really cool
I
experience.
spent my summers in Florence
Oh, yeah, it's awesome.
because my grandfather lived 2 blocks from the stadium.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Before they tore the old Coffee High School down, my dad graduated from the old Coffee High School 2 blocks from his house.
Wow.
2 blocks up from that. So, oh yeah, there's a lot of similarities in the Belew and the James families.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Well, listen, guys, we may wrap it up a little bit early because I smell pizza.
That's what I'm talking about.
From True Love Pizza and Grits. Guys, thank y'all for coming.
Hey, enjoyed it.
We always have a good time doing this. We need to have you guys back. This is like bringing the old team back together.
It is. It is.
With a Ty Cobb in the middle.
Hey, there's
Coach Cobb. Coach Cobb.
I'm
Coach
sorry,
Cobb.
Coach Cobb. Coach Cobb. Now we got 4 coaches and 3 guys. So there you go.
Did you get the boys out and measure the goal and everything like they did on?
No, but I think they can hit. It's impressive what these young kids how they can shoot a basketball at play.
Now
I'm
what's
teaching
the
them to play defense. That's
what's
my
the
main
age
thing.
again?
7 and 8.
7.
7 and 8.
Okay.
Takes a lot of patience to coach that.
Did you coach them with your Predators
No,
shirt on?
We've actually, Snow got us a week before.
Are y'all the team's colors, or are they?
Yeah, we're blue.
You're blue.
Yeah,
Okay.
blue.
All right. Because way back in the dark ages, in my day, I was white.
Blue,
mine,
green. Yeah,
mine were green.
got some good ball players though.
Oh, I was never a good ball player.
Well, I'll speak for you there, though. And the Nick Sabans and the Bill Belichicks are great coaches, but if you can organize a bunch of 7- and 8-year-olds,
You're a great coach.
those are the
It is a
coaches that
test.
need to be getting paid the 7-figure.
It's a test.
I could not imagine.
Hey,
So.
I coached City League for 5 years.
I knew that.
I used the 4 corners effectively. I'll be glad to show you.
And the Motion 78. Ty, you want to leave us with any parting thoughts?
7 o'clock. What do you want me to leave you with? Let's see. Preds play tonight. Let's just say go Preds. They play Tampa Bay, so I skipped that game to be here with you and to coach my team at 7:30. And I thought you'd have it on the Tennessee Vanderbilt game, but I've been keeping up with it on my phone.
So where are you with Vanderbilt, Tennessee?
Tennessee's leading at the half, 32-15.
Ooh.
Vanderbilt basketball is really struggling.
Well,
not what you
Tennessee's
saw
all
in the
over the board.
Struggle
though.
is not the word.
Well,
I would
Tennessee
use.
though
I mean,
I
they'll
agree
play
with
a
you, but-
powerhouse, a real good game, and then they'll play somebody that they should beat. And,
They're young,
and
but-
lose.
but they have. There's 2 games that they should have won, and that's North Carolina and Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think they played pretty well. It's basketball. You're going to lose a few. And look at Kentucky.
Right.
They've fallen out of the top 25 for the first time, I think, under Calipari. So
Yeah, they may be calling
Eric,
for his
Jason,
ouster.
thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hey, if I could, one
Yes, sir.
announcement: there's a new family member in the Hoath family.
Yes,
right.
there is.
There is.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Well, baby Autumn. Yep. More than 3 weeks ago tomorrow. So she's number 4, and that'll be it.
Yeah, so you say.
Yeah.
And on that note,
that's the word now. Anyway.
we out.
we're out of here.
I know.